boy. Good boy. Drop it. Good boy. Good boy. Come here. Come here. That's a home run! Into the next yard! Oops. Oh! Hello there. How are you today? I was just playing a little bit of baseball with Marvin, and I accidentally hit a home run over the fence into the neighbor's yard, so I guess we'll have to get back to that game of baseball a little bit later. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a chair, I'll bring over my book, and we'll get to another chapter of Fantastic Mr. Fox today on this Thursday, May 7th. I apologize for missing yesterday's episode. I had a very, very busy day yesterday. So we are back today, Thursday, May 7th, for another episode of Hamilton Reads. I'm your host, Mr. Hamilton. So as I said, let me grab a chair. And the seat right here. And we'll get to our next chapter of Fantastic Mr. Fox. So as I said, today is Thursday, May 7th, and I would like to apologize again for missing yesterday. I just had a very busy day. I'm very sorry, but I'm back today. We're going to read chapters 5 and 6 today of Fantastic Mr. Fox, and then we'll get to chapters 7 and 8 tomorrow, Friday, May 8th. So here we go. Chapter 5, The Terrible Tractors. As the sun rose the next morning, Bogus and Bunce and Bean were still digging. They had dug a hole so deep you could have put a house into it. But they've not yet come to the end of the Fox's tunnel. They were all very tired and very cross. "Dang and blast," said Bogus. "Whose rotten idea was this?" "Well, it was Bean's idea," said Bunce. Bogus and Bunce both stared at Bean. Bean took another swig of cider, but then put the flask back into his pocket without offering it to the others. "Listen," he said angrily, "I want that fox. I'm gonna get that fox, and I'm not giving up until I've strung him up over my front porch dead as a dumpling." "Well, we can't get him by digging, that's for sure," said the fat Bogus. "I've had enough of digging." Bunce, the little pot-bellied dwarf, looked up at Bean and said, "Have you got any more stupid ideas then?" "What?" said Bean. "I can't hear you." Bean never took a bath. He never even washed. As a result, his ear holes were clogged with all kinds of muck and wax and bits of chewing gum and dead flies and stuff like that. This made him deaf. "Speak louder," he said. And Bunce shouted back, "Got any more stupid ideas?" Bean rubbed the back of his neck with a dirty finger. He had a boil coming there and it itched. "What we need on this job," he said, "is machines, mechanical shovels. We'll have them out in 5 minutes with mechanical shovels." This was a pretty good idea, and the other two had to admit it. "All right then," Bean said, taking charge. "Bogus, you stay here and see the fox doesn't escape. Bunce and I will go and fetch our machinery. If he tries to get out, shoot him quick." The long, thin Bean walked away. The tiny Bunce trotted after him. The fat Bogus stayed where he was with his gun pointing at the foxhole. Soon, 2 enormous caterpillar tractors with mechanical shovels on their front ends came clanking into the wood. Bean was driving one, Bunce the other. The machines were both black. They were murderous, brutal-looking monsters. "Well, here we go then," shouted Bean. "Death to the fox," shouted Mr. Bunce. The machines went to work, biting huge mouthfuls of soil out of the hill. The big tree under which Mr. Fox had dug his hole in the first place was toppled like a matchstick. On all sides, rocks were sent flying and trees were falling, and the noise was deafening. Down in the tunnel, the foxes crouched, listening to the terrible changing and banging overhead. "What's happening, Dad?" cried the small foxes. "What are they doing?" Mr. Fox didn't know what was happening or what they were doing. "Well, it's an earthquake," cried Mrs. Fox. "Look," said one of the small foxes, "our tunnels got shorter. I can see daylight." They looked around, and yes, the mouth of the tunnel was only a few feet away from them now, and in the circle of daylight beyond, they could see the huge black tractors almost on top of them. "Tractors!" shouted Mr. Fox. "And mechanical shovels? Well, dig for your lives! Dig! Dig!" And here's a picture of those mechanical tractors, those diggers, those big tractors digging out the hole. Chapter 6 is called The Race. Now there began a desperate race, the machines against the foxes. In the beginning, the hill looked like this. There's a picture, since it says, in the beginning it looked like this. After about an hour, as the machines bit away more and more soil from the hilltop, it looked like this. So they really ate a lot of soil away. Sometimes the foxes would gain a little ground and the clanking noises would grow fainter, and Mr. Fox would say, "We're gonna make it, I'm sure we are." But then a few moments later, the machines would come back at them and the crunch of the mighty shovels would get louder and louder. Once the foxes actually saw the sharp metal edge of one of the shovels as it scraped up the earth just behind them. "Well, keep going, my darlings," panted Mr. Fox. "Don't give up." "Oh, keep going," the fat Boggis shouted to Bunce and Bean. "We'll get him any moment now." "Have you caught sight of him yet?" Bean called back. "Well, not yet," shouted Boggis, "but I think you're close." "I'll pick him up with my bucket," shouted Bunce. "I'll chop him to pieces." But by lunchtimes, the machines were still at it, and so were the foxes, and the hill now looked like this. The farmers didn't stop for lunch. They were too keen to finish the job. "Hey there, Mr. Fox," yelled Bunce, leaning out of his tractor. "We're coming to get you now." "You've had your last chicken," yelled Boggis. "You'll never come prowling around my farm again." A sort of madness had taken hold of the three men. The tall, skinny Bean and dwarfish, pot-bellied Bunce were driving their machines like maniacs, racing the motors and making the shovels dig at a terrific speed. The fat Boggis was hopping about like a dervish and shouting, "Faster! Faster!" By 5 o'clock in the afternoon, this is what had happened to the hill. So they really dug away a lot at that hill. The hole the machines had dug was like the crater of a volcano. It was such an extraordinary sight that crowds of people came rushing out from the surrounding villages to have a look. They stood on the edge of the crater and stared down at Boggis and Bunce and Bean. "Hey there, Boggis, what's going on?" "We're after a fox." "Well, you must be mad." The people jeered and laughed, but this only made the three farmers more furious and more obstinate and more determined than ever not to give up until they had caught the fox. And here's a picture of some of the surrounding townspeople, I guess, looking down into the hole. And that's the end of the chapter. That's where we're going to stop today. That's where we're going to pick up tomorrow, Friday, May 8th. So Friday, May 8th, tomorrow, we can look forward to chapters 7 and chapter 8. And I'm sorry I'm squinting so much. It's really, really bright out here. I probably should have picked a better spot to sit in so I wasn't looking directly into the sun. But anyway, so now on to our sock or shirt segment. I have a special shirt and a special pair of socks on. These are a pair of socks and a shirt that you've seen before, but they're matching. They're very special to me, and I think they're very silly. And since we've gotten up to maybe close to 25 episodes by now, I got to apologize. I don't have more than 25 silly pairs of socks. I don't have more than 25 silly shirts. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to repeat until I can get more. So if anybody out there wants to send me more socks, feel free to do so. I'd love some more silly socks to show off to everybody. So my socks today, as I said, match my shirt. My socks have pineapples on them, and my shirts have pineapples on them. Very nice. I'll put my pant leg down. Marvin, come here, buddy. I got some treats for you. So Marvin, as I think I told you before, we've been working with him on his obedience, and he's really good at sitting. So right now he's standing. Sit. Good boy. Shake. Good boy. Other hand. Good boy. He's pretty good at shaking and sitting, so I'll give him a couple treats for that. So today I would like to shout out, number one, you saw me playing baseball. I would like to shout out all professional athletes, but I guess specifically baseball players who were gearing up for their season and had their season put on hold because of the coronavirus. I'd like to just shout out all of you guys. Every time I see an athlete posting on social media or something, it's always something positive, uplifting, encouraging, and I love to see those messages because athletes have a big platform to be able to influence a lot of their followers, a lot of their fans, and I always love to see positive athletes sending out positive messages of encouragement and positivity. So shout out to all the athletes out there who are sharing positive message, and I hope, for my sake, I'm a big sports fan. I hope we get back to the sports world very soon. I miss sports. I was really looking forward to our baseball season. I would also like to shout out today to Shishiquin Campground. That's a campground that I had planned to go camping this weekend. Unfortunately, it's going to be like 26 degrees, so I had to cancel, but shout out to them. I was looking up, it looks like they have a really nice trout stream right next to their campground, and I'm looking forward to doing that. I would also like to shout out, for my final shout out, to Petco and PetSmart. Marvin is constantly being taken care of at home. He has all of his needs because PetSmart and Petco have been able to stay open because they are essential businesses, obviously, making sure that the well-being of your pets is being met. That's super important. So Marvin has a bunch of toys. He's got a bunch of treats. He's got all the dog food stocked up he could ever want, and that's all thanks to Petco and PetSmart. So I appreciate you guys, and every time I'm there, I feel like the service is always great. Everybody's very happy and positive, and always very helpful if I ever need help looking for something. So that concludes another episode of Hamilton Reads. Like I said, tomorrow is Friday, May 8th, and I look forward to reading Chapter 7 and Chapter 8 with you tomorrow on our Friday. So thanks for stopping by, and I can't wait to see you guys tomorrow. Bye.